Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Em, and lately I have been doing a lot of themed reading vlogs, which is something I haven't done very much. I don't know why I started doing them all of a sudden, but I've started doing them all of a sudden. So between Wheel of Doom and Ketchup and Pickles, and then I have some very specific vlogs planned between September and October, and I just feel like I haven't had the opportunity to do a lot of mood reading, which is wild because I would say I'm a mood reader more so than a TBR reader, and I have a lengthy list of books in my head that I keep saying, oh, I want to read that, I want to read that. Oh yeah, I wanted to read that too, but they don't fit in to the very specific reading vlogs that I have scheduled. So I'm now trying to build mood reading vlogs into my content schedule. So that's what this vlog is going to be. It is going to be a mood reading vlog. I do have a stack of books here. Not necessarily a TBR, but more just I've been mentally saying, oh yeah, I want to read that about these books, and so it's more that it is a possibility of something that I might pick up, but because it is a mood reading vlog, we'll see if that's what actually ends up happening. I did last night start Lucy Undying by Kiersten White. I have an e-arc of this on my Kobo, and this book came out yesterday, so I definitely need to prioritize it. I meant to start this weeks ago when I got approved for it on NetGalley, and I just kept getting distracted by other projects. So I started it last night. I'm only 2 chapters in and I am liking it so far. We have 2 POVs. We have Iris in present day who is moving to England. Ooh, I forget for why. She's trying to get out. She has a very complicated family situation. Her dad is in like memory care. Is that what it's called? He's in like a nursing home situation. And her mother is dead, and it sounds like died very violently and very suddenly. And then our other POV is Lucy Westernraw from Dracula. And so far I've had a chapter from Iris as she's arriving in London, and then a chapter from Lucy that is a diary entry talking about her mother and Dracula. Is she talking about Dracula? Maybe she's just talking about her mother. Look, I was reading it last night as I was falling asleep, and so I'm definitely gonna like backtrack and skim the Lucy chapter again. But anyways, I'm really looking forward to reading it. I think it'll be fun. I love that like Lucy's chapter was a diary entry, because if you've read Dracula, then you know that novel is all epistolary and journal entries and diary entries, and like it's not told in a traditional structure. So I love that there's that nod to the source material in Kiersten White's book so far. So yeah, really excited to read that. And then I also really want to start magical realism, and this is nonfiction. It's like officially on my TBR for September, so I really want to read it. I also drew Shark Heart from my TBR jar, and I really want to read this. I think this one could be a really quick read just based on the format. I also have Foul Days checked out from the library, and actually the library just emailed this morning that this is due back by Sunday. So this one's got to be up there if I'm going to read it. I checked this out because Tor sent me the arc for book 2. I hadn't read book 1 and it sounded interesting. So I'm actually going to check and see if this is an audiobook, because I might start this one today while I'm cleaning. And then I read The Liar's Crown last month and had a really great time with it. And so I have The Stolen Throne, which is book 2. This is by Abigail Owen, and this is a YA romantasy duology. And I do have the audiobook for this one on Hoopla. So I get to pick something because, like I just said, I really need to clean my house. I have a couple hours before I need to go pick up my youngest from school, and I just need to get some stuff done so that I feel less chaotic, especially since I'm going back to work this afternoon, because I have an afternoon class today and I have afternoon classes tomorrow. And so the next 2 days will go better if I feel like the house is under control, with the exception of my youngest room, which is a certified disaster. And so on Friday, we are tackling that room because it's so overwhelming at this point that my youngest isn't can't do anything about it because it's just gotten to be too big of a mess. They have too many things in there, and they don't want to get rid of anything, but we don't have any practical storage solutions in their room, and the storage solutions we have my youngest has outgrown those. So Friday's job is going to be getting storage for that room. But that is Friday's problem because that's my day off. So I'll have hours and hours to devote to straightening that out. So in the meantime, let's pick something for me to listen to. I'm going to check. I really need to read this. So I'm going to check and see if Hoopla has this on audio. And if they don't, that's fine. I'll just read it with my eyeballs, but I won't be able to start it until tonight when I'm home from dance class. Okay, it's not on Hoopla. Let's just go check Libby. Maybe I'll get lucky. Oh, I also have the audiobook for Trust checked out. I don't know if that's gonna be a good cleaning audiobook though. Dang. Okay, it's an 18-week wait. So do I want to listen to it badly enough that am I willing to use an audiobook credit for it? Ooh, okay. I don't have any more credits and it's $34. I was kind of hoping it would be on sale and then I could justify it. All right, so I will not start Foul Days quite yet. I think actually I'm gonna start Shark Heart because this one's kind of calling to me, and it's just calling to me. That's the definition of mood reading. So I'm gonna download this because I already have it on Libro, and I'm gonna start listening to it while I do some cleaning, and I will come back and update you all when I've made some progress. So yeah, welcome to the video, and I hope we read a lot of really great things in the next 5 to 7 days. I don't know how long this is gonna go. We'll see. Haven't had breakfast yet, and I need to finish getting ready for work, so this is gonna be a real quick update. Also, I look so tired. All right, added light, so hopefully that helps. It's not gonna help me look less tired, but you know, there's not a whole lot I can do about that one. In true mood reader fashion, I'm reading 4 books. Things escalated yesterday. I don't know how to explain it. So obviously I'm reading Lucy Undying. I read a little bit more last night, a little bit more this morning. We have some sapphic vibes happening, which I love. And again, all of Lucy's perspective so far is diary entry or transcripts, which I just love that as a nod to the original text. So far I'm liking it. There's definitely a mystery with Iris. We'll see what happens. And I am 108 pages into Shark Heart. And this one is really sad. It's like, I knew it was going to be sad. Oh, there's a spider on the wall. I'm going to deal with that later. I knew it was going to be sad, but it's really sad. And there's things about motherhood in here, not from the main character, but from a secondary character. And yeah, that's making me feel really melancholy, I guess. And so I think this is gonna have to be a quick read for me, because I know when I read things that make me feel sad or melancholy, or just things that have heavier themes, if I go slow, I'll never finish it. I'll procrastinate and I'll put it off and I won't finish it. So I'm gonna have to read this fast, which is fine, because obviously, like, I did that very quickly yesterday. The audiobook's a super quick listen, and I think if I listen to it when I get home from work today while I'm doing things around the house, I think I could easily finish it today, is basically what I'm trying to say. I read the first chapter of Magical Realism, also loved this as well. I started highlighting. Can you even see that? Yeah, I started highlighting certain passages that I either thought were interesting or I felt like resonated with me in some way. So I'm really, really liking this. I'm not super committed to finishing this in this vlog, just because I don't want to rush it, and I'm trying not to get the audiobook for this and just read it with my eyeballs, so it's okay if it takes a little bit longer. And then I did start Foul Days last night so that I could try to get this read before Sunday. And I don't know if this is, okay, it's adult. Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. And this is inspired by Slavic folklore, which this will be like the third fantasy I've read in like the last 2 months that is inspired by Slavic folklore. And our main character, Kosara, is a witch and lives in this city that is walled in, and the poor live in the walled in city and the wealthy live outside the walls. But the walls also keep in the monsters. So Kosara has grown up surrounded by monsters, and New Year's Eve of every year kicks off what is known as the Foul Days, where all these monsters and creatures and spirits and beings basically get to run around. Like the portal in between this world and the monster world is really thin, and so they can come through and run amok. I forget for how long, if it was 7 days or 14 days. It starts on New Year's Eve, and Kosara basically trades her soul, her shadow away in order to escape the Tsar of monsters. And the only, well, I mean, as you can imagine, there's probably a lot of downsides to trading away your shadow. But the biggest is that it means that she can no longer perform magic, and that eventually she will fade away into nothing. So that has all happened, and I think the rest of the book is going to be trying to get her shadow back. But I read the first 2 chapters. I really liked the writing. The world is very, very cool. I thought it was explained well initially, and the author did a really good job in that first 2 chapters of really setting up who Kosara is and like her personality, her motivations, her reality. So I'm interested to see where it goes from here. So that's your little reading update. And I'm a little overwhelmed that I'm all of a sudden reading 4 books and I only have an audiobook for one of them. Yep. Pretty much. I'm still debating if I'm gonna use a credit to get the audiobook for Foul Days. I might. I'm glad I started off reading it physically, because I have noticed that if I start a new fantasy book, if I'm just listening onto the audio, I miss a ton of world building. So it's better for me to either read it physically or to tandem read at the beginning until I have a sense for the world building and the character and the language of that particular fantasy world. And then once I have that under my belt, then I can listen to the audiobook solo, no problem. But I absorb things a little bit better if I'm reading it physically. So that's a better way for me to start off fantasy books, is what I'm learning about myself. So I'm gonna go eat, get ready for work, try to look less exhausted, and then when I get home from work, I am going to have a cozy early afternoon. I'm gonna make pumpkin bread, I'm gonna make a really yummy iced coffee, and I'm going to just be cozy for a couple of hours because I woke up in a really bad mood this morning and I just feel like I need to take care of myself for a little bit today. So that's the plan. And I'll come back when I finish Shark Heart. Hey friends, I finished Shark Heart a little while ago, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I really liked the beginning, where we're meeting Ren and Lewis and kind of getting to know them through their childhoods and their meeting of each other. I loved the format of this, how it was almost told in vignettes, and there would be flashbacks to Ren's childhood specifically. Like I would say, even though Lewis is the one turning into a great white shark, this book is definitely about Ren the most. There are these vignettes. The book is split up into 3 parts, and at the beginning of each part you get like this cast of characters with a description of them. And then, like I said, there are these vignettes, but then there's also parts that are written like a script, like a theater script. And I just really, really loved the structure. Oh yeah, here it is. So we'll have like scenes, and then it's broken down like that. And anyways, I just thought that was so interesting and creative and well done. And then part 2, I did not like as much. Part 2, we switch to Angela, who is Ren's mother, and learn more about her and her childhood and her adolescence and her journey with motherhood, basically. Like, motherhood ended up being a much bigger theme than I thought it was going to, because once again, I didn't read the whole synopsis. I was just going off of what I've heard on BookTube when people review this book. There is also a content warning for partner abuse, which I kind of wish I had known going in. Would that have made me not pick up the book if I had known about it? Probably not. I still wanted to read and experience it for myself, but it just would have been nice to know. Like, I wish that was information that was being communicated, and maybe other people are, and I haven't come across those reviews or those creators. And then in the 3rd part, we go back to Lewis and Ren. So things progressed in this book a lot faster than I thought. I thought the whole book was just going to be Lewis's transformation into a great white shark, and that part was actually over, I want to say, before the 100-page mark. Maybe it was really fast. I'm probably gonna give it around a 4, though I could talk myself up to like a 4.25, and I could talk myself down to like a 3.5. I didn't really like the way this book talked about motherhood. That's kind of my biggest like thing. I never got emotional. It is sad, but I was never moved to tears. And yeah, I didn't care for the way it talked about motherhood, especially towards the end. I felt like it had this very like idealized version of motherhood and of what a and the relationship between a mother and her child. As a parent who loves her children deeply, it was like a fairy tale version of motherhood. I'm like, even in my most idyllic, like, yes, this moment with my child is playing out exactly how I saw it in my head, and everything is perfect and our interactions are perfect. Like, even in those like perfect moments with my children, there's still a level of reality that I felt like wasn't there at the end, if that makes sense. So I just didn't like how it talked about motherhood towards the end. And even there were parts like in the middle where there was a different mother, and it was a very different relationship, and it was a lot sadder and a lot more bitter, and I didn't care for that either. So yeah, I just didn't like how this book talked about motherhood is the short answer. And unfortunately, it's a very big theme that I didn't know about. And honestly, if I had read the back, or if I had just, I guess, maybe seen that more in reviews, then I might not have picked it up knowing it had such strong themes of motherhood, because I tend not to like fiction books about motherhood. Nonfiction hits a little bit different, but I tend not to like fiction books about motherhood. I might have talked myself down to a 3.5. No. Okay. I'm going to leave it at a 4. I'm going to leave it at a 4. I'm not going to go change it. I'll think about it. I'm glad I finally read it. It was very interesting. And this is Emily Habbock's debut, so I will definitely read whatever she writes next. And then I frequently forget that Spotify has audiobooks, because it's just not my first place to go. And the audiobook for Lucy Undying is on Spotify. So I think tomorrow that will become my primary audiobook, then I can make some progress on that because I'm really liking what I've read so far of Lucy Undyne. And then for tonight, my youngest is already in bed. I'm about to put the twins in bed. I have a background going. And I'm just kind of slowly chipping away at this. I read another chapter about Atreyu and the never-ending story. Yeah, I'm really liking it a lot. Alright, we're going to do the update in my youngest room since I did all that work to clean it. I do have stuff in the hallway that I need to take care of, but I'll do that. I just finished having lunch and I watched a YouTube video and I have like an hour and a half left of my alone time. Did I think this would take me 2 hours? Yeah, I mean, I didn't want it to, but I'm also not surprised. I mean, you saw the before. It was just... It was just a disaster with youngest child problems. You know, I forget. They don't care if their room is organized or looks nice, and so I don't push very much, especially like when the twins really want things a certain way, and so they ended up get prioritized just because they're the squeakier wheel. Anyways, I hope they like it. I didn't give them a heads up, so we'll see what they say when they come home from school. But I think the biggest thing was you're on the organizer right now, but just putting all the Legos in one spot was huge. And getting all the board games picked up because my youngest loves a board game, but I'm so bad about putting them away when they're done playing with them. Anyways, I did listen to a good chunk of Lucy Undyne while I was doing all the organizing and all the cleaning, and I like it. Okay, here's what I'll say. I really like Kirsten White's writing style. I like that this feels very different from the other things by her that I've read before. Like I've read her middle grade series, the Sinister Summer series. I've read Mr. Magic, and I've read Chosen. And I would say so far Chosen is my least favorite, but it's also not her original idea. Obviously, she's working with like the Buffy IP, and so the thing I really like about her book so far is that everything feels really different. I don't know that I could necessarily pick up Mr. Magic and Lucy Undyne and just know that they're the same author. You know how some authors have like a really distinct writing style? Like a Stephen Graham Jones, like I'm always going to know that I'm reading a Stephen Graham Jones because his writing style is so distinct no matter what the project is. Whereas Kirsten White, I feel like has a lot more chameleon tendencies, maybe. I just feel like her style changes depending on the project, which I love. So for Lucy Undyne, I was into it while I was listening to it. I was really interested in what was going on, but I am listening to this at 2 times speed, and I feel like I am crawling through this book. Like I felt like I was listening to it. I mean, obviously I was listening to it for not the full 2 hours. I did watch a YouTube video during part of that time, but I think I listened for a solid hour, if not a little bit more, and I feel like nothing happened. So I don't know if it will pick up, if this book is just meant to be more slow paced, which is fine while I'm in it. I just, you know, it's like when you, like this happens with me at work where, because I wear my Apple Watch, and because I teach gymnastics, I don't say that I'm working out on my Apple Watch, but you know, sometimes that exercise ring will just kind of fill in on its own if you're really active. And there will be times I will get done with a difficult class or a really high energy class, and I am exhausted, and I will look at my exercise ring and I'll be like, that's it? And that's kind of how I felt today when I went to go pause Lucy Undyne, and I looked at where I was percentage-wise, and I was like, that's it? I'm only like 28% of the way to this book. I feel like I should be 50%. And nothing's really happened. We're getting a little bit of Lucy's backstory of what her life was like after Dracula turned her. And so we're moving throughout time pretty slowly. There was an altercation with Renfield. There's been conversations about her relationship with Mina, which I really liked. I am loving how gay this book is. Like, that's the best. I love it so much. I love it. I love all the gay women. I just love it. And, oh, there's gay men too, but yeah. focus on all the gay women. Yeah, so I like it. I'm having a good time. I guess I just feel like I should be farther along than I actually am, which isn't really a book issue. I think that's a me issue, but I always think it's a me issue. So at some point it's gonna have to be the book issue. Anyways, that's your update. I haven't read any of Foul Days in like 24 hours, so I'm gonna try to have that be my bedtime book. But honestly, even though I really liked it and I liked the writing, I thought the world was very cool, I like the main character, I'm not pulled to pick it up. Like, I definitely feel a pull to either pick up magical realism or to pick up Lucy and Dying. Like, those are the two books that when I have time to read, I feel pulled to pick up. I also kind of want to start another book, but I don't know if I will. I'm trying to resist. But also the whole point of this reading blog is to do mood reading, and my mood says start another book, but I don't know what I want to read. I don't know what I'd want to pick up. So I guess I'm just gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Theoretically, I would like to work out before I go pick up my youngest. Also, my oldest has a friend coming over after school, so I won't really be able to work out then. I do have some more cleaning I would like to get done around the house that I should probably do before I go pick up my oldest from which child? Before I go pick up a child from school. I also just ate lunch, so I can't go work out because I will be too full and that will be uncomfortable, and I don't like working out with a full stomach or even a partially full stomach. I'm really happy with how the room turned out though. We can go back full circle. I'll show you my youngest bookshelf real quick. And all the books. Those aren't all strictly their books. This is like, just a minute. Let me fix this. Okay, so some of these books are not strictly my youngest. Some of them belong to like the twins as well. My youngest just likes to hoard, and so they end up in here until the twins have figured out that the book they're looking for is in my youngest's room, and then they come look for it. Also, the plan was to, I'll slide you over, get a desk to go right here. But when I went to Walmart, the desk that I had picked out wasn't there anymore. And so I was initially planning on getting this no matter what. And then I wasn't going to get this, but I was going to get the desk instead. But when the desk was gone, I got the bookshelf instead. I would eventually like to get them a desk because they really like to write. And I think having a designated space for that would be really helpful. But I don't know. We just needed a solution today. And so this is what we've got. Okay, I need to start making dinner, but my kids are listening on Spotify, so I can't listen to Lucy and Dying. So I'm going to go on my Libra FM. I'm going to sort to see what my shortest audiobooks are, and I'm going to pick something from there to listen to so that I have something to keep me company while I make dinner. The question is, what am I in the mood for? Am I in the mood for middle grade, horror, or nonfiction? Okay, I'm going to listen to Class Act by Jerry Craft. This is middle grade graphic novel that literally I've had on my radar for forever. I'm finally gonna do it. I'm gonna listen to it. It's full cast. I love a graphic novel audiobook adaptation because they're always full cast and they're usually a really good experience, and it's only 2 hours and 6 minutes, and I'm gonna listen to it probably at 1.5 times speed, and it'll be a good time, and then I won't have to keep thinking, oh, I should read that book every single time I see the cover. Hello! I'm home from work. I'm exhausted. I've been home from work for a while actually, but I fell asleep. I ate lunch and then I kind of fell asleep. It's tired. And I made some good progress in Lucy and Dying. I'm actually checking where I am because I walked to and from work today. So I got a good little chunk of audiobook time. So I'm 44% of the way through. That's more like it. That's what I thought I was at yesterday. I'm almost done with chapter 49 and things are picking up. We're getting some insight into the mystery with Iris and what the deal is with her family and with her mom and why she's in need of cash. And yeah, given that I'm only 44% of the way through, I could not predict where this book is going to go from here. So I'll be interested to see what happens. I did finish a Class No, not A. I did finish Class Act by Jerry Craft. And this one, I don't know if listening to it on audio was the best because there were a lot of characters, and sometimes when I listen to graphic novels that have been adapted into an audiobook, they'll write in a narrator to try to help the storyline make sense, but they didn't do that for this one. And so the beginning was rough because there were so many characters being introduced, and I just kind of struggled to figure out who was who. But this takes place at a middle school in New York, and we're following a bunch of different students, and just, the like real casual racism and microaggressions that the Black kids at the school encounter. And I say casual in that, like, the way the white people perpetuate stereotypes and microaggressions and aren't like actively trying to be racist, but just in not thinking through their actions end up saying harmful things. I ended up really liking it though once I like figured out who was who and what the story was. I also didn't realize that this is a companion novel to New in Class, something like that. Anyways, so it's not a direct sequel, but if I had read that first one, this one probably would have made more sense faster. And then I also last night and then this morning read Yona of the Dawn Volume 1, which is a manga. This manga is unhinged. Like, certifiably unhinged. So we're following Yona, who is a princess. And at the beginning, she's at the palace with her personal bodyguard. And she is so excited because this guy is coming to visit. And she's so in love with him. And she wants to marry him and for him to be king. And he's her cousin. Anyways, it was so silly and so over the top and just very, very entertaining. I will definitely be reading volume 2 because I just like, if this is how we started, where are we gonna go from here? I did have a favorite part. What did she call? So Yona and her guard, Hawk, I think is his name, have a very like antagonistic relationship at the beginning where they both kind of annoy each other and bug each other. And what does she call him? I don't know. It's so funny. I'll find it so I can show you. But he says something and her response, like, that was the panel where I was like, oh, this is going to be a good time because it was so fun. So anyways, there's the reading update. I still have not opened Foul Days. It's due back tomorrow. I think I just have to admit it's not going to happen this weekend, so I'll end up returning it and then I'll just place another hold on it and try again another time. So yeah, nothing too exciting today. I'm kind of just gonna take it easy. I'm trying to psych myself up to do a workout, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. But right now I gotta go because I gotta scare my twins off of their school Chromebooks because they've been doing homework for a long time. Apologies for the whole thing. It's very early in the morning. Also, I do have jammies on. I'm cold. Anyways, not important. I'm 58% of the way to Lucy Undying, and I've been meaning to tell you this for many percentages now. I think since I was 40%. And there's a character that Iris meets in London named Elle, who is becoming Lucy's friend, and Lucy's also like having romantic feelings for Elle and is like attracted to her like from the first time they meet. Anyways, I have a theory about Elle and I want to put it on the record now. And I won't tell you what the theory is because I imagine if I'm right, it's a big spoiler, but I have a theory. I'm interested to find out if I'm correct. Also, this book is too long, which I had my suspicions because the audiobook is 18 hours. What? That's so long. That's like chunky fantasy long.
not Dracula retelling long. Anyways, I think it's too long. And I think it needs to be edited more. And there are definitely parts that are repetitious. Like, we will learn something in one of Lucy's diary entries from before she became a vampire. And then, like, later, because Iris is also reading Lucy's diary or journal or whatever, then Iris will recap what we've already read for ourselves. So it's definitely repetitious and it's definitely too long. This could have been edited down to not be 5 million pages, because it is also starting to drag. So I'm pushing through. Iris's parts are still interesting because Iris's at least has forward momentum, but Lucy's diary entries in particular have really started to drag and are pretty boring. We haven't had a transcript, or I haven't had a transcript in a while, so I don't know if the transcripts are also starting to drag, but we could edit out. I know that a big theme of this book is obsession, but I'm starting to realize that maybe I don't like books with obsession themes, because my primary thought has been like, girl, just get over it, which is not the point of obsession. So anyways, I'm going to see if I can read a little bit more, but and we'll see if my theory is accurate. I think it will be. It's a very predictable theory. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not that predictable, but it probably is.
Well, my theory was correct, and that character ended up being who I thought they were going to be. It's just kind of a bummer because it feels a little predictable. I also feel like this book at this point, I'm 80% in. It should be so much faster than it is, and I feel like it's taking me forever to make progress. Like, I feel like I'm running on a treadmill and can't understand why I'm not moving forward and just running in place the whole time, which is disappointing. But I'm so close to the end. I'm interested. Am I interested to see? I feel like at this point, I just need to know if there's going to be an ending that I like or an ending that makes me mad. But yeah, it's such a bummer because I liked this so much at the beginning. I thought it was so interesting. I was loving the nods to the original story. I was really curious where it was gonna go, and now I'm just not having as good of a time. I'm gonna finish it. It's gonna finish it. We're gonna end this vlog on a finished book. Maybe not a highly rated finished book, but we're gonna end it on a finished book. We'll see how this ending goes. Maybe I will like it more, but this book is too long. It's too long. I think that's gonna be like the TLDR of my review is it didn't need to be this long. It could have been edited down, and then I think it would have been, because of it being a much tighter story, would have been a much more interesting story. I feel like we just have too much dead space. Friends, my computer sounds like it's trying to launch into space. Hopefully it's not that loud. It feels loud, but hopefully it's not as loud as it feels to me in person. Anyways, I finished Lucy and Dying this morning, and my impulse is to give it like a 3, maybe 3.25 if I'm feeling super generous, which I haven't decided yet. I haven't rated it yet. I'm going to start off with saying I loved Kirsten White's author's note. I kind of wish I had read that first, because reading her author note gave me much warmer and fuzzier feelings about the book as a whole than I'd actually had while I was reading it. But as I've said, I feel like a million times in all my updates, this book is too long. It could be 75 to 100 pages shorter and be a better story. I found that the pacing was kind of erratic. It did pick up a lot at the end. There was a lot happening and it was very action-packed and it moved really fast, and the horror elements really started to come in at the end of it, which I didn't even realize this was a horror book until I finished it. It didn't feel like horror. And as I was thinking about it, I think this wanted to be a gothic horror, but I think having it in present day might have undermined that a little bit, because the gothic atmosphere got lost the farther into the book I got. I also think this book definitely has themes of healing from abuse, reclaiming your autonomy, reclaiming your confidence, and like learning how to love yourself and how to be in a healthy, loving relationship with another person. But that theme was so blunt and almost saccharine towards the end. Like there were some lines that I know some people will be like, oh, this is a great quote from the book, and they'll really resonate with some people. And then for other people, I think those quotes are just so to the point and over the top and like leading the reader to the conclusion or the theme that the writer wants the reader to have. And readers who are picking up a feminist Dracula book will already be aware of those themes. The other thing I forgot, okay, this is a PS from later, even though I'm in the same spot, that I forgot to mention. There is a scene partway through Lucy Undying, and this is kind of the tipping moment for me where it went from being like a 4-star read to like a 3 or lower. Is there's a transcript with a character who we find out in that transcript is trans, and it is the most heavy-handed handling I think I've ever read. It's meant to be supportive, and trans women are women, and in that vein of like being a good ally, but I thought the way it was handled was so heavy-handed and so blatant and a little bit, not condescending, patronizing, a little bit patronizing. And I don't think that was Kirsten White's intent, but that was definitely how it came across. And that was kind of the tipping moment of where it went sideways for me. Oh, back to past Emily and whatever else she had to say. I also thought it was interesting that while that's a really big theme of the book, like healing from trauma and abuse, taking back your autonomy and the ownership of your own body, there's 3 vampire women who don't get named. Like Lucy gives them nicknames and doesn't bother to learn their actual names, but then calls them her friends. And they're very like specific nicknames, like tied to like their occupation or like some personality trait. But I just thought it was so odd and such a weird disconnect that we never got those 3 women's names like ever in the whole book. And I don't know, that felt like a weird oversight given what the very blatant themes of the book are. Dracula gets introduced as a character maybe a little over halfway through, and his perspective is in second person, and I hated it. Didn't like it. I think we could have taken his perspective out and it would have been a good time. It would have been a better time. And I thought, and again, the twists were kind of predictable. Like I saw them all coming, and I'm not a reader who tries, like I don't try to predict what's going to happen at all, but just sometimes when I'm reading, if something feels really obvious, and I'll be like, oh, I wonder if that's going to happen. And then when it does, I always think, wow, it must have been really obvious if I inadvertently guessed what the twist was. But anyways, I think this has to be a 3. Just such a bummer. I just amend my contact. My contact's being funny. Hold please. So anyways, I'm pretty bummed because I was really excited about this book and I wanted to really love it. I do think you need to have a good working knowledge of Dracula going into this. I don't think this is one of those books that you can pick up and not know anything about the source material. I mean, obviously you could read it not knowing anything and maybe it would be fine. Maybe it would be better if you haven't read the original, but I think Kirsten White assumes a base level of knowledge of her reader for this book, and you will get more out of it if you know a little about the novel. I don't know if watching the movies would count. I've only watched spoof movies of Dracula, so I don't know if the movies cover all the things that the original book you would need to know for this one to make as much sense as it needs to. Woo! Speaking of not making sense. Okay, so with that, we are going to wrap up this vlog. Yay! How many books did I read this week? Well, that's a good question. I need to look because I don't remember where I started at all. No, that's not what I meant to do. I'm going to pull up my story graph. I am still currently reading Magical Realism I didn't make as much progress as I wanted to. Lucy Undying kind of took over because I really wanted to finish it. So I'm 78 pages into Magical Realism. I'm still really, really liking this, and I will be continuing on. And right now I am predicting it will be a 5-star, if not a 4.5 star, because I'm enjoying it so much. Okay, we started this week with Shark Heart. Or not this week, but this vlog. Man, that feels like an eternity ago. I gave Shark Heart 4 stars. And then I read Yona of the Dawn, Volume 1, which I gave 3 stars. Just because I'm reserving judgment. There were some things I really liked. There's some things I kind of didn't like. So we'll see how it goes. No, I gotta stop putting that A there. Class Act by Jerry Craft, I gave 4 stars. And then Lucy Undying, which I'll probably give maybe 2.75 stars. I might have talked myself down. So all in all, 4 books read in like 5 days. That's not too shabby. I'm actually really happy with that. And I'm glad I got some things read and or started that I've been meaning to read all month. That feels really good. And it's the 15th. No, it's the 16th. So we're halfway through the month. That's also great. And I'm really looking forward to some of the other reading projects I have for like the next month and a half. I have some TBRs planned that I'm super duper excited about. So I hope you are excited for my excitement. And if you want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's leave a bat emoji for Lucy Undying, and like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!